Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another edition of 25 Days, 25 Gripes, in which we look at annoying ass people and their annoying ass habits. I'm your host, Mr. P, and today we're taking a look at old people and how it's magically every generation after them that contributes to the world's problems. Now, you could probably view this as an unofficial sequel to yesterday's episode on shitty and entitled parents, but I wanted to make the distinction because not all parents obviously are old, not all parents that suck are old, and not all old people that suck are in fact parents. So I felt it was important to not only make that distinction, but make a separate episode covering the basic flaws with the elderly. Like, one thing I'll hear all the time is about how sensitive young people are nowadays and about how millennials and Gen Zs just want everything free. Yet, ironically, in my 9 years of retail, it's been primarily boomers and Gen Xers who throw adult tantrums when they either can't get a few dollars off on something, or my favorite after COVID is COVID. What does that have to do with this? Let me talk to somebody who knows what they're doing because they're clearly going to be able to help me. Or even just the concept of a senior discount. You mean to tell me that the same item that we're both paying for is going to be slightly cheaper for you just because you're old? Meanwhile, the younger age groups of people, aka the groups of people that don't have leathery skin, don't get the same benefit. Now, I know some places obviously have student discounts, but why is it a universal thing for there to be a senior discount? At that point in your life, you're more likely to either be retired or just have money saved up, and yet certain things are cheaper for you versus somebody who graduated college, for example. There should be some kind of thing like a graduate discount where you show, I don't know, your fucking student loan bill or how much money you owe or just some sort of proof that you graduated, and that's your discount because at that point in your life, you're probably out the ass in debt. Another one I love hearing is, today's generation is so entitled and they expect everybody to be nice to them. Yet on the same hand, it's, oh, respect your elders. I'm older than you, so you automatically have to be nice to me. No, asshole, everybody gets the same amount of respect, or disrespect. You're not special. You're just old and wrinkly and leathery and crotchety and shit. Or acting like all the world's problems are today's generation's fault, when in reality it was either started by old people or similar problems happening back in the day. One example I always like to make is whenever a mass shooting happens or some kind of violent act in today's society, old people reacting and going, we live in such a violent climate. It's everything going on today. Things were never like this back then. When really in the 70s and the 80s, if you think about it, there's at least 5 or 6 famous serial killers off the top of my head I can think of that would just murder the shit out of people. Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy. Things were not any better back then in certain ways. It's just in a different lens that you're looking at it now, which obviously the entire thing about mass shootings versus serial killings, that could be a whole nother topic on an episode that I wouldn't mind delving into one day, but I digress. Now, while I did put up the disclaimer in episode 0 that this won't be a religious or political affiliated podcast, there will be some discussions or episodes that kind of brush up against those themes, and I would say that this qualifies as one of those scenarios, so perk up your ears for a second. When the student loan bill was signed a few months ago that could possibly cancel some or a lot of your debt, I saw a lot of old people crowing on social media about, oh, well, that's nice. When I was in school, I had to pay for everything and I didn't get anything canceled and yada, yada, yada. But they'll conveniently ignore how 20 years ago, things like inflation and housing markets and certain conditions like that were a lot more favorable to them than they are to us now. And this isn't me being pro millennial or pro Gen Z or anything. Believe me, I have more than enough issues with my own age group. You may have picked up on that already, and there'll definitely be more episodes in the future chronicling my grievances with that age range. I guess to sort of conclude my issue with the geriatrics is that some of them just cannot accept that there's technology and improvements in today's day and age, and it's really just refusal to adapt and refusing to acknowledge that we do have the capabilities to change certain things for the better. Versus in their day when they had nothing better to do than things like trying to keep women from voting or harassing and chasing underlings around the office and the workplace. That's why I cringe when I sometimes see black and white photos from back in the day, because I figured there's probably at least one act of discrimination going on within a 2-mile radius of that photo being taken. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 6 and were able to relate to it on some degree. I'm sure we all have that tired, decrepit old prick in our life named Arthur or Otis that always seems to make things more stressful than they need to be. Or the people that you live next to or work with that love to just throw out unprovoked how long they've been living at or working at said place. I've been working here for 20 years and things have never been like this. Yeah, that's great that you've been working here for almost as long as I've been alive, but I didn't ask to hear your fucking life story. Did you ask me what I was doing 20 years ago? No, because I was still crawling or in diapers or whatever the fuck I was doing 20 years ago, but you're not asking about that. Now please, go have Alzheimer's somewhere else. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. Tomorrow we're taking aim at TikTok, where talentless people and talentless content are embraced by an equally talentless audience. And just know that if you haven't griped about anything today, it might be because you haven't thought hard enough about it yet. And as always, if you're enjoying what I'm spewing, please like and subscribe.